Hello! I have recently finished reading these 6 books and I'm gonna discuss the good, the bad, the ugly, and in this pile we have one of my new favorite books of all time. So let's begin right at the back. This book is called Reclaiming Conversation: The Power of Talk in a Digital Age, and it's by Turkle. She's a researcher and she researched the effects of technology, especially cell phones and chatting apps, on people today and how your ways of communicating and interacting with people changes. And some shocking things she mentioned, like children who are so used to using tablets and swiping that someone was standing in front of a shop window and trying to swipe to change the clothes. Like that, I don't know how true that is, but some shocking things in here. The thing I don't really enjoy about this book is she tends to repeat herself a lot and it's very, very long. Not that I have a short attention span, but I think she could have made her point in a lot less pages. And she kind of approaches it from the perspective of, it sort of feels like an older person, which she is, or a parent talking to you about the dangers of technology. So I do agree with a lot of her points, but some of the words she uses and the vocabulary she uses to describe technology does seem a little old-fashioned. But it's a great read if you're interested in what technology is doing to us and why we can't communicate or read emotions anymore. Next, this is my new favorite book of all time. It is so good. So this is Pachinko by Jin Lee. She is a Korean-American author. Pachinko is Japanese gambling, but technically gambling is illegal in Japan, but people still do it. Pachinko. Anyway, the story is not necessarily about Pachinko. It follows a family from, I think it's 1910 or 1911. 1911, all the way until 1989. So from Yeongdo in Korea, close to Busan, all the way to Yokohama in Japan. And it's a story about a family and how Korean people started living in Japan under the colonization of Korea by Japan and during World War II. So it's about 500 pages long, and it is the really heartwarming and also sad, very, very long story which follows generations. And it's so interesting to see how it sort of starts from this one mother figure and then she has sons and then they move and whatever. I cried actual tears a few times reading this book. It is so wonderful. Also, the cover is absolutely beautiful. I always buy books for the cover, so this was a good find. It can definitely act as a historical piece. It is fiction, but it's very rooted in history, and Jin Lee wrote this book over a period of many years and she did a lot of research. She went to Korea and Japan and spoke to a ton of people there to make sure the story is as accurate as possible. Really great book. It does have a few sad endings though. Next, this is a Christian book, so if you're not Christian, you can skip ahead, don't worry. This is Love Defined by Kristen Clark and Bethany Baird. They are Christian YouTubers and they have a YouTube channel called Girl Defined Ministries, I believe. They are 2 American sisters, and this is, I think, their 2nd book. They just released it this year, so it's brand new. This book, they speak a lot from their personal experiences, so you can relate a lot. And at the end of each chapter, you get a study guide. I haven't written in it because I might give this book to someone else, but I mean, it's laid out really pretty for young adults or teenagers. It's a very beautifully written book. They use the term modern woman a lot, so that got a little bit annoying. They're like, we as modern women. I'm like, okay, I get we're modern women, but apart from that, it's got wonderful, solid advice. I wish I had read this book before my last relationship, or before any relationship actually, just how to approach relationships, what is the point of dating, and what God's purpose is for relationships. So if you're a Christian, even if you're not, I think it's a very good read just to put yourself in a position that you won't get hurt in relationships and really to mindfully approach dating. Next is this lovely little gem. It is Japonisme by Erin, Niimi, Longhurst, and illustrations are done by one of my favorite Japanese illustrators, Takemasa Ryo. Beautiful, beautiful. This book it's kind of like a little coffee table book, and it's full of beautiful pictures And the chapters are super interesting. They're about Japanese culture and food and lifestyle. And it's just little snippets about what Japanese culture is about and how the Japanese live and what they embrace and believe. And it even gives you recipes. So in the tabemono section, the food, you can get recipes. It talks about ikigai, which is like your, I don't know how to say in English, your reason for living, I guess. Wabi-sabi, which is like embracing imperfection. Kintsugi is using gold to repair cracks in ceramics. It says, for example, how you apply the kintsugi philosophy to your life. So sort of the Japanese concept of mottainai, which is like don't waste things. So for example, repair, don't replace. Just because an object is broken doesn't mean it's come to an end of its life. Shoes are a great example. Take them to a cobbler to mend the heels, for example. You'll see in Japan there are tons of like shoe repair places and train stations. You don't really see them much here in the city in South Africa because people just, you know, if the shoes are broken, throw them away. But it's so mottainai, you don't want to waste. So really beautiful Japanese philosophies and ways of thinking that you can apply to your life. And the book is just so stunning. It's lovely. Highly recommend, 10 out of 10. Next is another Japanese book. At risk of sounding very like the cliched Japanese learner who loves Murakami Haruki, I do love him, his way of writing, stunning. This is the first non-fiction book I've read by Murakami. It's called Underground, and it's about the 1995 sarin gas attacks on the Tokyo Metro. So the gas attacks were done by Om Shinrikyo, which is a doomsday cult. Recently, like a few weeks ago, they hanged Asahara, which was the leader of the cult. He got the death penalty for this. Anyways, so the gas attacks happened on the Marunouchi-sen, a line, train line, Chiyoda line, and the Hibiya line. So at the beginning of the book, you get a little subway map. I can put myself in where this book is taking place because I've been on all of those subway lines and I'm very familiar with the Tokyo Metro subway. So what Murakami does is he interviewed, I think over the span of a year, quite a few people about their experiences during and after the gas attacks and how it had such an impact not only at that moment but also in their lives afterwards. Some people had serious eye and health problems, some people were completely disabled, some people struggled to get back to work. So he interviews people, he gives a little quote in their age at the time, and he categorizes it by the train that it happened on, so the train carriage and which line it is, and then everyone he interviewed from that train and the next trains. And then right at the end, which I haven't got into yet, I see that he also interviews the perpetrators, the people who actually carried out the gas attack. So I'm more than halfway. Very interesting. It's not gruesome, it's just shocking and sad that something like that could have happened. So really, really great read. And finally, the last for the end, worst book I've ever read. This book is called How to Be Here, a guide to creating a life worth living. So I thought this would be a great read about mindfulness and minimalism and lifestyle. Pretty much every chapter starts with the letter I, and he talks about himself. It's just a bunch of his life stories, but I didn't get anything out of it. I didn't learn anything. So I read up to more than halfway. I read it on the weekend, spent 2 days with this book. And then the last few pages I just sort of skimmed over, hoping I would find a nugget of education or information. Nothing. And the way he wrote this book is quite strange. It's almost like it's like a poetry. The chapter is called Surrender. They may love it, or they may hate it, or they may not recall it at all. They may love us, or they may hate us, or they may not even notice us. This whole book just sounds like some modern poetry work. I don't know, not a fan. I disagree with the way he thinks about Christianity as well. So a bit of a touchy subject for me. I don't know, it's very new age, not a fan. Those are the 6 books I have recently read. I love getting back into reading because the greatest thing about being a working adult now is that I don't have homework. So I don't have to come home after class and do homework. I can come home and read. I have read more books this year than in the past 3-4 years when I was at university. It is wonderful. I highly recommend All of them except this one at the back. Hope you enjoyed the video. I've never done like a booktuber sort of video. I'm not sure if I will continue, but if the response is good, if you guys want to see more book reviews, by all means, hit me up. Also, go buy Pachinko. So good! So good. Alrighty, thanks for watching and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!